Thanks for spending your final Monday of July 2020 with us. Matt Hatfield here with you on the 757 at 6 on ESPN Radio 94.1. Privileged to be joined by one of the best in the business at this time. He's been the high school sports editor of the Roanoke Times since 2001. Go check out their great work at Roanoke.com and the Roanoke Times, and give them a follow on Twitter too at Timesland. We say hello to Robert Anderson here on ESPN Radio 94.1. Robert, great to have you on the program. I haven't spoken to you or seen you in a while. I always look forward to catching up with you at the state basketball tournament and other such events, but our sports world has been turned upside down since March. How are things with you?
Good to be here, Matthew. I made it as far as Appomattox in March on the Thursday that they called off all the rest of the games after the Class 2 games, and I had to turn around and go back actually wrote the same story three different ways as things unfolded that day. The strangest day I think I've spent in this business in 40-plus years.
That's saying something. It was a very, very strange day. I know getting on the NFHS network to call the games, it was crazy as we got more and more information during every commercial break, and then they got the two games in, and that was it after the John Marshall Gate City Boys Basketball State Championship. To kind of piggyback on that, did you think back in March that we'd be sitting here at the end of July not knowing what the status of pretty much is for our sports moving forward?
You know what? I had the same question addressed to me earlier in the spring, and a guy asked me if I thought there would be spring sports, and that was back in March, and I said no. I didn't think that they would be safe enough to do, and I'm not sure we're going to have a 2020-21 sports season. I think what they did today was giving some people some hope. I don't know if there's any way they can have basketball and football played as they're scheduling it. I hate to be pessimistic, but people are tired of me saying that stuff. But I find it hard to imagine how they're going to play those high-risk sports under the circumstances.
Well, I won't call you pessimistic. I'll call you realistic because I have very similar feelings, even though I think we both can agree we want to see it happen and, get back to our normal lives with sports. And the VHSL today did go with Model 3, pretty much as expected for their announcement when it comes to the return of sports and activities for 2020-21. And that would mean that the winter sports such as basketball, gymnastics, indoor track, swimming, diving, wrestling would begin with its first contest on December 28th. So we're looking pretty much at the 2021 calendar year. We're pretty much done here. With what was outlined some 12 days ago or so, and the primary option pretty much looking like this one, the meeting, the announcement today, the Zoom, did it pretty much go as expected to you, and what do you think of this plan moving forward?
Well, I think it was a done deal 10 days ago. I didn't hear any dissent to speak of. I don't think there was, I don't want to say options 1 and 2 were terrible, but I don't think there was a viable third option. I was surprised 10 days ago that no one on the executive committee put forth the possibility of just delaying the season some, as West Virginia has done. I suppose the input they got from their respective divisions didn't lead them in that direction, and rightly so, because let's face it, they've got to figure out how to get back in this classroom before they worry about sports. Aaron McFarling, our columnist, has written a column for tomorrow, and just talked about sports, school sports, and you hear that all the time. Maybe people say it with a wink and a grin, don't really mean it, but in this case, it's true. They've got to figure out how to get back in the classroom safely before they can even think about going out there and knocking heads on the football field, trading elbows at the basketball court.
Yeah, I'm with you totally. We're talking with Robert Anderson of the Roanoke Times. Go check out his work and others at Roanoke.com. And Timesland is the Twitter feed. It's the 757 at 6 on ESPN Radio 94.1. And to kind of follow up on that, Robert, with going virtual, and many of the school systems all across the city of Virginia are going with that to begin here. And there was a lot of questions asked today on the media press conference on Zoom to Dr. Hahn and Tom Dolan about the state of the financial situation here, and with fans, with spectators. I mean, to me, the concept of streaming broadcasting every game, playoff contests, bowl games, you name it, if we get to that point, the VHSL creating some kind of a network either through the NFHS or others, I think would have financial benefits. It was a bit, I don't know if I'd go discouraged or disappointed as the appropriate word, but I was hoping they would explore that not only from the way it can provide revenue, but give the fans the chance to see the game, because in Phase 3, your limitation's 250. And when you add up the officials and people there, you're looking at less than 100 people there. What's your take on the spectator element and how this can get off the ground once we get past Phase 3?
Yeah, that question was asked today and was dismissed pretty quickly toward the end of that Zoom conference. I talked to two coaches, basketball coaches today, who host different early in the season. One in early January in Floyd County, and then the Northside Invitational, which has been going on for 20 plus years, and in late December. The Northside coach told me there's no way they could have that event without spectators. The coach at Floyd said he's still hoping to do his. He would take the loss if he could have the Chance Harmon Classic. It's, of course, it's in memory of his son who died at a young age. But
right,
a special thing. But he did mention the possibility of some sort of video situation like the NFHS thing, where maybe some people could pay to watch, and they would certainly not make money on it, and they would lose money. But he was still hoping to have that and maybe explore some new things. The Zoom thing is new. We're finding out through technology there's things we can do that we should have maybe been doing all along. Like my church service is now on Zoom and on Facebook, and I think that will probably, even when we go back to church, that should probably continue. This is the first time we've ever had a press conference like we had today on Zoom, which was great. I think those things should continue. So it's not all bad. The things that some good things are coming out of these things.
Yeah, it is good to see a couple positives, given how horrific this coronavirus and pandemic has been for our country, our world, and here to the state of Virginia. The playoff models, it's something that was asked to them as well. August 24th at their next executive meeting, they plan to discuss that. Your reaction to that? And there seem to be some moving parts with this depending on which sport we're talking about here.
Yes, I really, he left open the possibility of some sort of football playoff. I haven't heard anyone talk about that there'll be a state championship for football. That seems to be almost a foregone conclusion that there won't be a state football champion. I don't see any model that he's proposed that includes that. I think, of course, they have to let the schools know quickly. The gentleman, Mr. Sipe, I think from Northern Virginia, was pressing on that issue. These schools have to figure out how they're going to schedule. They're going to have to tear up their schedules that have already been made and, find out a way what their districts want to do. Do they want to play home and home? Do they want to just play a few district games and leave you some flexibility there to play your rival who may not be in your district? Are some of these invitationals going to be held, the big wrestling tournaments, volleyball invitationals? Are they going to be able to fit those in the schedule? So they're going to have to let them know what the playoff scenario is in every sport. I could see some of these team sports like basketball, perhaps if health allows and they play their season and they can get something done in a week or two, they may be able to do it. Now, qualification, how are you going to qualify for a state tournament? If there's no regional tournament, I don't know. I don't see. I think most of the schools would prefer to play more regular season games and have that bowl game that everyone can be a part of, as opposed to playing fewer regular season games and have a limited postseason football that not everyone can be a part of. I don't foresee a football state championship game.
I'm with you again here. And I feel like, too, to get the coaches' feedback on that, because we have so much that goes through the VHSL and the administrators, and I think they would be in favor of that, having that bowl game if you have a shortened postseason. It's not really your typical state champion in that field to it. The finish here for our last two with you here, Robert, and I appreciate the time. Going back to football here, so many of the top athletes, I know out your way, Salem High School out there in Roanoke's had a few players announce their commitment to Louisiana Monroe over the weekend. We got a running back from our area we had on the show about a week or so ago, and Malik Newton, who's indicated he wants to enroll early at Pittsburgh. Some of the top names may not play. Do you think that that's going to water down the product if we do get back and have it come March?
I'm not sure. Some kids are going to probably try to go out of state. I don't really know the private schools. There may be a few that actually play some football this fall. Some kids may want to go there. I don't think it matters if the product's watered down. I think the biggest thing is long term, what's not going to come back. And if we have a season where we don't play football at all, say people get out of the habit of coming to games, or it's different in the spring anyway, or fans aren't allowed to come, and they, are they going to come back, or are we going to lose momentum? What the effect of that's going to be? Or are kids just going to want to play travel ball in the spring instead of playing their high school season up until June 26th? And then the travel is the other issue to me is the travel. I think a lot of these school systems are not going to want to send their kids out of their district, and that's going to affect a lot of scheduling postseason. Some of these people are just not going to want to travel, and it's not safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I applaud them for that. My mother's 90 years old; she's in a nursing home. I don't want people coming around from all over the place exposing my mother to COVID-19. I'm selfish about that, but that's the way I feel. I talked to a football coach today. He's 55 years old. He's scared. He's scared. I mean, he said it's scary.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line right now.
Well, you're not alone, and other people feel that way. Davey Martinez, the Nationals manager, made some comments today with what happened in the world of baseball. I got a father who's in a rehab hospital in Norfolk who's getting over open heart surgery. So you're not alone in feeling that. Last one, Robert, and I appreciate the time tonight. What's your biggest question here after today, and what's your takeaway from today's announcement?
My takeaway is, that the schools, the VHSL, and a lot of people ripped this decision. These people are professionals. They're your superintendents. They're your principals. They're your athletic directors. These people have put a lot of thought into this, and that's Billy Hahn, executive director, said that at the top, and he wasn't just blowing smoke. That it's hard, and they're looking out for the greater good. Obviously they had Craig Wood, their legal counsel on there quite a bit today, and they're guided by the fear of getting a lawsuit filed against them, and I don't think they would lose, but at the same time they would have to defend it with some costly legal fees. So a lot of that's part of this thing, but that's kind of my biggest takeaway is that.
Well, you're right. I mean, there's no real easy decision when it comes to sports and the enemy that is COVID-19. He is Robert Anderson from the Roanoke Times. Go check out his work, roanoke.com. Give them a follow on Twitter at Timesland as well. Thank you so much, my friend. Always a pleasure chatting with you. You stay safe, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon, all right?
Yes, sir. Best of luck to your dad there. Thank you.